Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today at our PKE Faculty Speaker Series. We are looking forward to being able to do a great presentation today. Our PKE Alumni Executive Planning Committee would love for you to continue to join us. It's Bill Barkowitz, Amy Towner, and Alan Goad. And my name is Jeanette Nakandakari from PKE 139. To all of prospective PKE students, we would encourage you to reach out to Pearl Quintana. She is offering right now a $2,500 scholarship. And so if you could go ahead and write down her number and reach out to her on any prospective PKE students, we would really appreciate it and hope that you could continue to let other prospective PKE students know about the scholarship program. We would like to also let everyone know about PepConnect, and if they would like to stay connected and learn about other events, please go ahead and go into connectpepperdine.edu, and you could reach other Pepperdine alums as well as get to know about other events coming up. And without further ado, I would like to present David Smith. And take it over, Dave. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jeanette, and thank you and Bill and Amy and Alan for your service to the PKE community. We really very much appreciate it. I know you're helping spearhead this faculty speaking series, and so just my gratitude to you and the rest of the leadership team for your work. Good to see you all today. I just want to give a 1 or 2 minute update. I'm on what's happening in the PKE program from a program committee perspective. I chair the program committee for the Graziadio School, and we are hard at work making your program more valuable than ever. We have recently launched a task force under our Dean, Derek Van Rensburg, that is a cross-functional group made up of staff, faculty, and alumni that is studying ways that we can enhance the PKE program and make it long run sustainable and thriving well into the next decade. So we are working on that as a group, and we're excited about the possibilities for what the future holds. We once again are committed to making you very proud of your program and the school's work to continually enhance it. So feel free to reach out to me at any particular time if you have any questions about that. We are going to be launching some focus groups in 2022 to learn more about your experience in the program. We'll be launching focus groups with alumni and also with students. So you may be contacted in the future to get your perspectives. I would very much value your participation if we reached out to you. Without further ado, I do want to introduce our illustrious speaker for today, Dr. Miriam Lacey. She is an authority on organizational behavior and development. She's at the forefront of integrating behavioral science with the management principles of human resources and quality management systems. She has worked in human resource management and organization development in 19 countries and has been a regular lecturer at the Japanese Productivity Center and the University of Lyon in France. Dr. Lacey has served on the boards of several manufacturing and sales companies in Europe and Asia, and is past vice president and chair of education and research on the board of directors for the Association for Quality Participation. At the Graziadio School, Dr. Lacey teaches exclusively executive programs and has served as chair of the personnel committee, chair of the PKE program, and also a past member of the faculty council. Known for her wisdom regarding excellence in leadership, employee motivation, and change management, she maintains a vibrant executive coaching and team building practice. Miriam, we're privileged to have you speaking with us today. We look forward to your insights. Thank you for your time.
It's my pleasure to be here. All right, so we will cover today what's going on in the workforce. Okay, we have got a new set of issues and a different workforce than what we're used to be dealing with. So here's, okay, it's not, where do I change it down below? There we go. Okay, so I think we're in the midst of COVID blues. And I want to chat with you, about if they're real or not. Okay. It seems to me there has been a chronic level of anxiety for at least a year and a half among all our workers and people at work, ourselves included. Many people complain of brain fog, have trouble keeping track of what day it is. They have to really rely on their planners or their phones to stay kind of tethered into what's going on day to day. And then there's Zoom fatigue. I know myself, if I have spent most of the day on a Zoom call or calls, that I feel exhausted at the end of the day. Whereas had I been in person with those people, I would have been able to leave with some energy. Anyway, what are your thoughts for you personally or your people? What do you see as going on with this COVID blues proposition? So I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to go back to gallery as we talk. Okay, so do you think COVID blues are real? Are you experiencing them or do you see it in your people?
Can you hear me, Miriam?
Yes, that's smart.
Right.
You've been recognized.
I think what's so interesting is that most of us, in fact, I would say all of us, without knowing all these people, have built our entire professional lives with in-person moments, not just, the formal meetings and whatnot, but the water cooler talk and the, in general, just relationship building that you have in person. And not having that not only triggers what you said, but I think is never been experienced by anyone before, where you're expected to pretend like it's a normal day, but you're in your office, at home. And that's what I think is drawing the most anxiety, at least for people I know and myself, is that why are we pretending that this is normal when it's not?
Okay, thank you, Mark. Sean has a comment to make here as well. Or Shay, excuse me, Shay.
Thanks. So I'm CIO up at UC Santa Barbara, and we started the pivot to remote work and hybrid work of about 4 years before COVID was a thing, to address some labor market issues, to address some issues in purchasing power of salaries, and to be able to take advantage of sort of broader trends and capabilities that are outside of Santa Barbara's local labor market. So we were dealing with and adjusting to a normal that included permanently remote staff that were on site intermittently. We were licensed, we had a site license on campus for Zoom in mid 2016, to give you an idea sort of when we started thinking about it. I think that the experience for the IT team specifically, but for the UCSB campus more generally, and I think Zoom fatigue is a thing to the degree that that there's no break in between, there's no transit time in between. I'm not walking across campus, nobody's walking across campus.
Yeah.
So the exhaustion at the end of the day is from never having the transition time to go from one context to another context. There are these quantum breaks in what we're doing from one moment to another. And the staff here, the anxiety hasn't seemed to be around the Zoom work environment, the remote or hybrid or on-site work environments, so much as the lack of stability around and lack of predictability around what the work environment is going to be next week, next month, 6 months from now. To give you a bit of perspective, our chancellor announced that the first 2 weeks of instruction in our or our winter quarter, starting right after the first of the year, announced that that was going to be remote on the 18th of December. That sort of having to react on that sort of time scale has just been exhausting.
Yeah. And you would include yourself as well as your people in that?
Less so for me. Throughout my career, I have sought out high risk, high reward, high levels of change as the areas that I want to work in. So that has not been as much a personal issue, but I certainly see it in the 200 staff that report to me.
Well, I would love to hear from others about how your staffs are doing, your workers are doing, and you personally too.
Yeah. Can I speak then, Miriam? This is Al
Yes.
Hirsch. Yeah, this is a quick one for you.
Oh, I look for you everywhere and I see,
Yeah.
oh, I figured out where he is. All right.
It's a quick one for everybody. I think the most significant thing in the last 3 years, 2.5 years, has been the day I decided I wanted to take a day off, and I realized that there is no place in the world I can go to get away from COVID. Absolutely no place. And that was just beyond my frustration, that here's something that happened to all of us and you can't get away from it.
Yeah.
End of message.
Thank you. What about you, Brian? You work in manufacturing. What do you see there?
Yeah, I mean, it's getting tough. I mean, it's really tough right now, especially because you don't know what you'll get some employees that come into your office and they'll talk to you about, what happened at the Capitol today and what they ruled today. And then all of a sudden, you tell them, well, yeah, but we go with Cal OSHA. We have to understand what Cal OSHA is going to do moving forward. So you'll get your experts in the field and, as to like what's going on with the virus and the new Omicron and all this stuff. But then, what I've seen in particular, that it's kind of cool, I guess, it's that I'm seeing what employees are really want to be here, which ones are really loyal to the company. Of course, if you treat them right and you follow your proper procedures and your guidelines. And I'm seeing that, these people want to be here at work. I'm one of them. I want to be here at work. And I have at least, out of 110 employees, we have about 70 of them that have been here through COVID. So yeah, you think to yourself, wow, 30%, 30% new employees, that's a pretty big turnover. But in today's environment, that's kind of normal, I guess. But we do have these 70 employees. A lot of them are getting paid more than they ever got paid here at Trademark, especially in the last few years. California minimum wage keeps going up. But when I'm seeing a lot more loyalty, and it's kind of an escape from the real world.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing. And then, we follow every single guideline. Everything is sanitized, everything is clean here, and we have clean room manufacturing. But that's what's happening. We have a lot of employees here who have not missed a single day for COVID. And if they have missed a couple hours here, it's because we pay them to go get rapid tested. We pay them to go, just be safe, and to me, it's kind of been different, I guess, to the rest of the world, in which it's been a positive for us here at Trademark.
Right. Okay. Oh, Sam, yes.
I find it interesting. There's two observations I have with the stress of supervisors in the hierarchical system to sort of manage the situations when they lose somebody because of the COVID. And so we have clearly people on ground that are needing to do their jobs, whether they're teaching or support. But when they get COVID or their family has COVID and they have to take sick time, I see the stress in the managers who oversee those areas. How am I going to deal with this? What's going to happen? Why is it always happening? Because it just doesn't stop, right? It's not like the entire staff goes out, it's a one-off, but every few days it's a different one-off. And so it's a constant cycle of frustration. Like, are we ever going to get out of the dark tunnel that's spinning around us at Universal Studios? You're just overwhelmed. And I think that's one observation. The other that comes in is that I think that this COVID situation has led to people trying to react to things and just, I got to get an answer. I got to do this. I gotta, and just becoming reactive as opposed to responsive. Taking
Right.
a break, getting
There's
it
kind of a chronic level of anxiety that goes along with that low level depression, you know, but I have some facts to share with you guys. So let me go ahead and share my screen again, and you can see what you think about these, okay? And if you're impacted by similar phenomena. Where are we? Hello, there we go. Okay, so the latest and greatest is 53% of companies have more turnover than they're used to. That's a big number. And 64% of companies expect it to continue or get worsened. And this is just a new study out last fall by McKinsey and Company. I like the research they do often. And 43% of employees are saying they are likely to quit between 3 and 6 months. And of those, over half of them say they're going to quit without a job in place. So I think there are very active dynamics going on where we have not seen this before. Usually people don't quit their job until they've got one in the pocket. And so this has been reversed now. Okay, usually you have to be really angry with the company, just quit and walk out. Usually you get angry, you spend the next month or two looking for work, then you get up and walk out. So this is very new. What is the status for you of your turnover? So I want to stop sharing and go back to the gallery here. And let's talk about what is your current experience with turnover. You got to unmute yourself if you're going to talk.
Well, Dr. Lacey, it's Peter McCutcheon. I work at Cisco, and
Hey, Peter.
And we've experienced a lot of attrition with regards across the board, regardless of the business unit. We call it the Great Resignation. It's split. It's split between the two percentages you mentioned there. Some folks are leaving because they found another opportunity, because the job market is full of opportunities here for people to transition and continue to grow. As we all learned from Dr. Strong many years ago, if you're not learning, you're not growing, and hence why probably we all went into PKE. The latter part of that is that I think a lot of folks are reevaluating their life's ambition, whether it's work or family or balance or Zoom fatigue or WebEx fatigue, because I work at Cisco, whatever it might be. So this is the new normal. This is not like, all right, we're going to get rid of COVID and go back to the way it used to be. This is a new normal, and those that can adapt quickly to the new normal will persevere and be better for it. So hope that's a little perspective, at least what we're seeing here at tech in Silicon Valley.
Yeah. Brian, you said you'd lost 30%. Who else has had the Great Resignation going on in your companies? Amy, you got one?
So for me, I'm in healthcare. I actually run the foundation that supports our our public health and hospital system. And in healthcare, it's taken a tremendous toll. And the challenge in healthcare, of course, is that we can't just plug anyone in there. We've got to have nurses that have, and doctors that are, there's all kind of, we have to have specialized people. Yeah. So it's been a real challenge, especially with fatigue and just people, complete burnout, actually. Just there are a lot of people that are leaving the medical field. And, quite frankly, just in this group, I personally worry about a healthcare collapse in many ways, or a semi-healthcare collapse. So seeing that firsthand and trying to figure out how to respond and come alongside them, and because we can't just have anybody in there. And, even moving people around, you don't want someone who's not qualified helping you or your loved ones. So the situation is real, and especially in the environment I'm in.
Yeah. I don't know what is your name, owner? Did you have something you wanted to say, it's the strangest thing to look at that screen of yours and it says owner.
Okay, I don't know what that
You're
means.
going to be Mr.
exactly.
Owner today because it's causing me to.
I was adjunct professor there at the, grad school after I graduated, 19, well, I worked for 40 years before I went back to school. So I went back to school when I was 67 and graduated sometime early year 2000. I was a rocket guy and I'm the GPS guy, as some of you may have read, and finally I'm retiring and still going to stay involved. And my name is Hugo Fruhoff.
Hugo.
And Hugo, H-U-G-O, Fruhoff, F-R-U-E-H-A-U-F, and I'm PKE 117.
Okay, thank you.
Miriam,
Yes,
Miriam, we had a this
Alan.
is yeah.
Okay.
So I'm in the high tech bleeding edge of technology. Electrification of vehicles, automation of vehicles, flying electric eVTOL air taxis. From one wheel to flying, we do innovation of things that's never been done. We had set out on a quest before, just months before everything shut down in March 2020. We had set up a quest of going to a culture of zero unexpected turnover, which means we wanted a culture of where people, if they had life changes or if they were going to, their spouse was moving to the East Coast, that they came and talked to us 2 months beforehand. And we had sought that. That was what we wanted. And then of course, 2020 happens, and then 2021, nobody, and we made an effort in 2020 to say, hey, we are not going to let anybody go. We're going to forego profit sharing, but even if we have to dip into our savings, we're going to keep everybody employed through this thing. And then in 2021, even with that commitment from us in 2020 and 2021, we had a resignation start right off the bat, and people leaving. Most of them, they told us, with a month or two in advance, they're relocating to somewhere where, lifestyle is different, closer to family, getting out of LA, whatever. Some of them were unexpected, and some of them were the ones we didn't want to have. But we saw it as an opportunity, and being high tech, we do a lot of engineering, so there's a lot of remote work anyway. So we transitioned remote pretty well. We did have the Zoom fatigue, but we saw it as an opportunity of how we could address the culture here and address what was going on here. And it caused us to look at alternative work weeks. We just implemented 410s. We did have a 30% resignation last year, which was lower than a lot of other companies. But we're addressing it from the perspective of what can we do to minimize these turnovers, and what can we do to make an alternative schedule that boosts creativity, boosts work-life balance, and boost all this stuff. So we just, as of January, went to the 410 work week, and I'll tell you, just from the first 3 weeks, our utilization is up, our creativity is up, our projects are making a lot more money, and our engineers are being super creative. But we just saw it as an opportunity to address those issues as they come, and we deal with ambiguity all the time. So it was a different spin on looking at it as from a negative perspective to looking at it as an opportunity for us to really address our culture here.
Well, your comments are reminding me that there seems to be a disconnect between what people are wanting at work and what managers are thinking they want at work. So I did compile some information for us to take a look at. All right, so I'm going to share my screen again. Let's see, here we go. Which one is it? It is this one. Okay, so companies often misunderstand what's important to employees And that's happening now, just like it always has, but this is a very recent study to help us understand it. And you see this blue part here? I mean, I've got to move my little gallery view. It's factors that are important to people. And this blue area shows the area that are important to employees that is misunderstood by managers. Okay, and I have on a bigger here for you to look at. Let me move this guy somewhere else. My gallery chases me all around because I don't have two screens. So if you ask the question, what will keep our employees, right? What do we need to do to keep them? What employees are saying, the most important thing is being valued by my manager and a sense of belonging. They also think it's important to feel valued by the organization. But the most telling one is the manager, because that is the reason people leave. They generally leave because they don't like their boss. Okay, and we seem to be missing the mark in organizations about how do we help people feel valued and create that sense of belonging for them. Let's see what my next slide is. Yeah, okay. So what's most important to employees is feeling valued by the manager and the organization. And so how are you doing this? How in your companies are you helping your people feel valued? So I'm going to go back to the gallery so we can have a conversation, because we have talked about feeling valued for a couple decades now, but it's become more important than ever. And it's one that managers just shy away from, right? I guess it's starting to feel esoteric or something like that, but it continues to influence why people leave and why they stay. So what do you see happening in your company or others that help employees feel valued so they will stay?
Hi, Miriam. David Reda, PKE 145.
Ah, yes, David.
So we doubled down. We took advantage of the Great Resignation, because the Great Resignation is not just in the US, but it's happening worldwide. And what we did to empower our employees in the US was, rather than, we had all of these hiring plans. So we, of course, went out the window with rising labor costs and the difficulty of finding talent that wanted to stay long term. So we started a company where we're staffing out of Colombia. I'm originally from Colombia, where we're bringing great salaries to Colombia and elevating, giving great opportunities there. And rather than hiring less people here, we've promoted a lot of people in the company, turned them into strategic roles, and hired 5 people at a time out of Colombia. So now everybody that used to be part of a team and was excelling, now they have their own team, and they're really excited about the opportunity because it's all remote. They have a team that it doesn't matter if they're in Texas or in Colombia. They're very excited about it. So it presented as an opportunity for us to both create a new company and elevate our people internally.
What are others doing or seeing happen in companies? How do we make our people feel valued? I think one way that we do it is by asking them for their opinions and giving them autonomy with some decision making. It helps them feel like they're trusted by the organization and that they have an obligation, a responsibility to the organization to do well. Yeah, Amy.
So I read a book, The Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace, and I found it interesting because there's it's kind of like the 5 love languages, that everybody feels appreciation in a different way. And I know that for us in healthcare, it was really difficult because some people don't want to be called out and acknowledged publicly. Some people like a gift, and some people like to be of service. You know, if you're really busy and someone offers to come and help them, they feel very appreciated by that collaboration. But again, I think it's really important, especially as leaders, that we really acknowledge and speak to that person's language of how they feel appreciated. Because let's say that we announce to everyone how great, you know, Nicole Logan is. Nicole might be like, "Ooh, I don't want that level of appreciation." It actually backfires. So I've found for us, you know, and then there's challenges with COVID of showing appreciation. Like we couldn't give, you know, food and maybe coffee to our employees because they would take their mask off and they'd all be together because we naturally all want to be together, and then we would spreading COVID. So there's a lot of challenges, especially in this time, of showing appreciation. So I just thought I'd mention that.
One of the questions I was going to ask everybody is, well, asking for their input, giving them decision-making, and showing appreciation is the third part of that table, that stool, right? And in my experience working with executives, is showing appreciation or praise is the single most cost-effective thing a manager can do to reward behavior and encourage productivity. Yet, it is the one thing managers don't do. And I'm not sure you guys hate to do it, or if it's just a matter of, oh, it requires a different thought process, a different activity, a different behavior, and I'm in the zone here doing my operational stuff. And so I don't stop long enough to figure out what would be a good way to thank this person. And I think thanking doesn't have to be elaborate. A good handshake with, well, we're not having handshakes, are we? But a good eye to eye, you could probably Zoom with somebody and give them a good eye to eye, and a smile goes a long ways. But I think the simple act of expressing gratitude and appreciation does go a long way. It helps people feel confirmed. It helps them feel valued. So what do you guys see in your own management style or those of others that you work with around this?
Yeah, I tend to agree. It's in kind of the position I am, and also I'm in logistics, so supply chain, and then we tend to kind of then focus on things that go wrong and correcting things that go wrong. So probably there is the potential to fall in a bad pattern to only point out things that are going wrong instead of the hundreds of things that are going right every time. So yeah, I think it's just upon yourself to kind of set that reminder that maybe, hey, if something does go wrong, for every wrong, maybe have five rights, point out 5 rights.
I'm happy with 2 to 1, Mark.
Or 2 to 1.
If a manager will give me 2 to 1, I'm happy.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely see that danger.
Okay. There's another push besides feeling valued that people are asking for, and that is, here we go. They want some movement. They want to move away from transactional tasks to things that are transformative and provide meaning to their life. Okay, and purpose and meaning are difficult. It's that abstraction again when it comes to management. How do we find purpose and meaning? And it's through the integration of a person's individual goals and the company's goals. We can find more meaning that way. People are also asking for more flexibility I think the 4 10s that was talked about earlier gives people that third day where they can take care of business, they can be with their families, they can engage in things that are soul enriching rather than soul crushing. Because I think a nice long day at your Zoom desk tends to be soul crushing. So we need to help people find meaning. They're also wanting close relationships and feelings of hope for the future. We have some interesting studies on hope. What constitutes hope? How we can create hope for our people. Okay.
Miriam, I have a comment about that, if you'd like to take a moment.
Sure.
In the, let's see, 70s and 80s, I was running a company in Irvine, and I figured out something that really worked for me, and that is I changed from 5 days a week to 4 days a week. Now, everybody said, you're going to get the company all screwed up. They won't be able to get everything done. So it was 4 10-hour days. And that was the best thing I ever did. Everybody felt completely rewarded. They loved the extra day.
Okay. Well, and you had similar experience then as to, I don't remember who it was, but one of our participants was just talking about that as well. There's a lot to be said for it, something to think about. Many people are, managers enjoy experimenting with that, and others are afraid of it. But we have good data that there's no need to be afraid of it. If your workforce is inclined to go that way, I would encourage you to give it a try. Okay, well, hang on. Then so this is my last slide, and it has to do with a culture of hope. How do we create hope for the future? And one way is by affirming and thanking people, praising them for their efforts, providing a sense of belonging to them, helping them feel valued. So what is your culture like when you start thinking about, do we affirm people properly? Do we provide a sense of belonging? Do they feel valued? And do we provide them hope for the future? What would you gauge the hope for the future that your employees have?
Dr. Lacey, it's Peter again. I think there's always hope for a future. The key is getting your employees to understand that there's hope for the future. Okay, and reinforcing the positiveness and good energy, lack of a set of words, that it's going to be okay. It's, the sun's going to rise tomorrow. All right.
Well, and we're certainly all in it together, aren't we?
And we're in it together. And but the challenge though is that because of the Great Resignation and the shifting of people going on for this work-life balance and everything, people coming into new roles as leaders and managers, I want to call them more managers than leaders, simply the fact that they've never experienced the ability to teach others about hope. So they themselves are looking for, I need guidance myself. I need hope myself in order to share hope and inspire my team to have hope. So it's a systemic issue here. It's not, we are all lucky enough to go through a program that is based on the core fundamentals of leadership and compassion and organizational behavior. And we all graduated with that. All right, so we take those skills to the people that work for us every day. So it's easy for this group right now to probably do that. But for the majority of people out there that are in leadership or management roles that are first-time leaders, they don't know how to instill the spirit of perseverance and hope. That's what I'm seeing on my side. I welcome our family from healthcare and education and other tech here in this forum to, let's open this up. I'm really kind of curious to see what you folks are seeing.
Speaking just for IT within a single higher ed institution, there's definitely a desire for some return to normal and a hope for return to normal, but it also, I think it predates COVID to some degree.
Yeah, it may never happen.
There's a huge level of technological evolution, technical transformation in higher education that's been upsetting people's egg carts for a very long time, and that's accelerating, that's not slowing down. And so the challenge for leadership here is how to communicate hope while also being realistic that all of this stuff that's changing is not going to slow down. You're not going to get to do it the way that you've always done it. You're also probably going to have to change the way you're doing it every 3 to 5 years, and that's just the nature of the beast at this point.
And change is hard. Change is hard. People don't want to change, but you know what? It's the only constant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was going to share is I think this was all in play way before the pandemic happened. Oh, yeah. We started to see it happen. It was just exacerbated by the pandemic, but exactly. It means it's going to speed us up into finding the solution, which is great. So there has to always be a little bit of doom and gloom before we're forced into change because of the crisis. And that's where we are. And I agree, the opportunity is management and leadership opening themselves up to leading in a different way. I mean, we did lose ourselves a little bit in, at the start of the industrial age, people were working 7 days a week, 14 hours a day. They just had no time for home and family. And that's what the generation coming in believes that they're being subjected to, and they're not going to do it. So the only thing we can do is change the way we run our businesses and support them. And I think in healthcare, I was working in artificial intelligence in healthcare, which really meant we were looking at the insights, and we saw it was going to be mostly emotional. It wasn't going to be, physicals for the elders. When you hit, the older cycle of your life, you are going into the physical issues, but health, mental issues, emotional support, that's coming in with this generation very strongly. And I think we have to find a way to help and support those folks. And I see it both in students and my employees. And it maybe means bringing back some of those soft skills, and responding to people as humans instead of subjecting them to just being subjects of your employment.
Yeah, but we don't teach soft skills. Okay, we soft skills are not teachable, apparently. So.
Apparently, but some people, Miriam, for example, is a great example, right?
Well, and study after study will show you that CEOs say soft skills are the most important part.
Yes, people are everything. Are everything. Yeah.
And then the business schools try to get rid of them because they don't really count.
Right. It's not quantitative. I can't measure that soft skill. It's like windshield time when you're driving to a customer site. Well, how do you measure windshield time? So.
But I'll tell you, analytics is what's identifying the soft skill and the human factor of everything we do. And so it's a little bit of a paradox, right? We needed the hardcore analytics to give us the real numbers of how we need to support people. I love it.
Well, and data talks.
Yeah, it does.
If you figure out how to, what was it? Einstein said that which is trivial is easy to measure, and that which is complex, most difficult.
That's perfect. Yes.
And, we didn't give up with trying to measure customer satisfaction.
Right.
30, 40 years ago, they said it was impossible to measure. It's a feeling. Well, we chipped away and chipped away and chipped away, and we found out a zillion indicators that'll help us figure out about customer satisfaction. I think we can do the same thing with communication skills and interpersonal competence.
Right. They're finding
it not necessarily easy.
Qualitative aspects can be codified and really look at the insights that you get deeper insights.
Yes. And
then you can, provide more options for how to change leadership styles and behavior management. So I think there's hope, and I think it's coming quick.
Okay, well, I'm thinking maybe now I should hand this over to Jeanette. As far as this probably concludes the things I have prepared to talk about. I'm happy to stay on and keep chatting as people wish. So Jeanette, the baton is now yours.
Hi, everyone. So right now we're going to be going into some Q&A, and if you would like, go ahead and do your questions on the chat. Amy Towner will be reading any of those that come up, and Miriam will be more than happy to go ahead and address those questions.
Right, I may ask for some help, audience help, dial home or something, you know. Yeah.
Just make a comment that probably has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it just came to me. It's about some maybe 5-6 years ago. I was doing some work on the East Coast, and I ran into the area where Einstein worked, and the office is there still. I forgot the university, of course, but the office is there still, and his conference room. In his conference room, he had you can't take a tour through it, but if you're working at Princeton for a while, that you get a chance to see where his office was. So I did that, and it had a large conference room and a fireplace, and with a kind of a inscription on the fireplace. And I don't know why this always comes to me, but I'm a German, and it was written in German script. I was just old enough to be part of the old German script stuff in 1999 and stuff like that. And so anyway, I was able to read the inscription, and it said, "God is clever, but not vindictive." Now, I have absolutely no idea what contribution I make, but it kind of balances me anyway about everything that I do. I love God, and He's not vindictive, so go for it. No charge for that.
Well, hopefully that will help us maintain our hope and optimism during the COVID cycles here. So did we end up with any questions, or people are just feeling complete and dropping off? What's going on? Jeanette, Amy, did we have any questions?
Oh, actually we did. What is the science behind brain fog? What can be done against it? And Mark was asking that question.
Okay. The science behind brain fog. I think people have been self-reporting that they do not feel as mentally alert, but I have not seen a specific study other than anecdotal things from the popular press. So I don't know. I would imagine there's some neuroscientists out there working madly trying to explain the phenomena, but it's just been mostly anecdotal and self-reporting that I'm aware of.
Thank you. Yeah, I just asked because I do kind of notice it with myself a bit. Yeah, I wonder if, just with Zoom and everything, technology, that we're able to pack more into one day, and maybe it's just a flood of data that the brain has trouble with. I don't know, I'm just guessing.
Well, it's hard, like somebody mentioned earlier, it's harder to take kind of to truncate from one activity to the next. You're on one call and then you're on another Zoom and then another Zoom, and it's just, I have to force myself to get up and walk around the house. Sometimes I have time, I go for a walk, but it's mostly just going from one room in the house to the other, back again to the Zoom chamber, right? At least I do Zoom now in 2 different places. You gotta break it up.
Dr. Lacey, we have another question from Andre Campbell, and he says, I found it interesting that, quote, development was not higher on the employee side of the chart. Why is that?
I think it's high, but it's not more important. They're saying what's more important right now is that human connection, feeling valued, is more important than the development. They still want the development, just like they still want their pay, but it's not an outstanding, I mean, it doesn't surpass anything else anymore. It's that connection for meaning and purpose and relationship that people are yearning for, because we have been isolated and marginalized from our families, from our communities for a very long time. You know,
is this McKinsey data also?
What I just said?
Yeah, well, the chart, the blue, the purple. is
Yeah, that was McKinsey. Yeah.
That's McKinsey also.
Yeah. Well, it's looking like we're settling down here. Like I say, I'm happy to stay on and chat. We can be less formal if you'd like to. And if it's time for you to drop off and go, please feel free to do that. And wonderful to see you. It is just, this is a way of creating some kind of community, right? And you have fed my soul today, everybody. So I thank you for that. Thank you very much for that.
Let's do it again.
We're going to go ahead and do a launch and event poll, if you don't mind. And if you would like to answer those questions, we would really appreciate it before you log out.
So anyway, thank you for coming, you guys. It was wonderful to see you.
Good to see you too.
Is Nicole, will you be making an announcement about our other PKE? Is someone going to be announcing? I guess it's about the other PKE.
Yes, so in the follow-up email, I will send out the dates, but we do have some coming up.
Yeah.
And the registrations are right there. And this is why the poll is so valuable for our team. It helps us create additional thought leadership sessions, very much like today for PKE and our other programs that want to grow and thrive as well. This one is, yeah, outstanding. So thank you, Dr. Lacey. If you all want to stay on, that's fine. I'll stop the recording and you can just have a informal chat, catch up, whatever you need. We're here until about 1:15.
Okay, thank you for arranging all this. Really appreciate the work you put into it.